A wealthy rancher abandons 3 weak foals, but a young woman proves they are champions. A millionaire discards 3 young horses, believing them feeble and worthless. A girl rescues them, cares for them, trains them, and they become champions. The millionaire's subsequent actions shocked everyone. On a vast mountainous estate, a magnificent ranch stood, famed for its purebred horses. This was the pride of Don Alvaro Figueredo, a man obsessed with perfection. Alvaro, a stout man with neatly combed gray hair, walked the stables that morning as he did every day, accompanied by his loyal assistant, Tobias, in his black riding attire and polished leather boots. Alvaro exuded discipline. Nothing escaped his critical gaze. "This water seems slower than usual," he remarked, pointing with his cane as he passed a stable. "We'll note that, sir," Tobias replied, jotting in his notebook. That morning, however, an unforeseen event awaited Don Alvaro. 3 foals had been born overnight, offspring of 2 of the ranch's most valuable horses, a mare, Golden Spark, a brilliant champion of numerous competitions, and a stallion named Firestorm, renowned for strength and speed. Reaching the indicated stable, Alvaro paused at the door. "3 foals, sir. The water's fine," Tobias reported, opening the door. Alvaro entered. The strong scent of hay mingled with the morning dampness. He saw the 3 unsteady foals. They were frail, their whinnies barely audible. He crossed his arms, observing them with disdain. "This is what Golden Spark and Firestorm produced?" he asked coldly. "They're young, sir," Tobias replied cautiously. "With time and care, they might grow strong." "Time and care?" Alvaro interrupted with a sarcastic laugh. "Wasting resources on these creatures? Look at them. Thin legs, weak posture. They have no future. Remove them." "Tobias, I don't want these animals on my ranch." Tobias hesitated but dared not defy him. Alvaro struck a stable beam with his cane, the sound echoing. "There's no room for the weak here. Do as I say." Hours later, as the sun set, an old trailer was prepared. The frightened, trembling foals were loaded. From the hilltop, Alvaro watched, arms crossed, as the trailer disappeared down the road. A few kilometers away, in a small cottage nestled among trees and wildflowers, lived Elisa, a young woman with brown hair and determined eyes. Known for her love of animals, she spent her days caring for rescued horses, working in the modest stable she'd built over the years. That afternoon, Elisa heard an approaching engine. Intrigued, she walked to the road, watching from behind bushes as a trailer stopped. 2 men unloaded 3 frail foals, leaving them before driving off. Heart heavy, Elisa waited until the vehicle was gone, then cautiously approached. The foals tried to retreat but were too weak to resist. "I won't hurt you," she said softly, crouching near them. One foal, light brown with a star-shaped white marking on its forehead, timidly extended its muzzle. Elisa smiled and stroked its head. "You're shivering," she murmured. "Who could be so cruel? I won't leave you here." Elisa took the foals to her cottage. It was arduous, but patiently she improvised shelter in the stable, covering them with old blankets and preparing warm milk with her meager resources. As she worked, she spoke tenderly. "You'll be safe here. No one will hurt you again. I promise that when you grow, you'll show the world what you're capable of." That night, despite the blankets and Elisa's care, the foals whinnied softly, trembling with cold and fear. She stayed by them, stroking them to calm them. The road was long, but she was determined not to give up. Over the days, the foals improved. Elisa named them: the largest, gray, she called Argento; the timid, dark brown, Bronze; and the smallest, with the white star, Astro. Under her care, they gained strength. She massaged their legs to stimulate muscles, mixed herbs to boost immunity, and trained them in the field near the cottage. Astro, the frailest, showed unexpected courage. Despite his size, he possessed impressive resilience. "You'll be a champion, Astro," Elisa would say, encouraging him. 4 years later, the 3 foals had transformed into majestic horses. Their muscular, elegant bodies were testament to Elisa's efforts. The small stable had given way to a larger training area, built with dedication. Elisa's work gained regional recognition. People sought her advice. One day, an emissary from a prestigious equestrian event, the Grand Valley Derby, reached Elisa. He invited her to compete with her horses. Though nervous, Elisa accepted the challenge, knowing she'd face the region's best, including those from Alvaro Figueiredo's famed ranch. On competition day, while preparing Argento, Bronze, and Astro, Elisa heard a familiar voice. "What are you doing here?" Alvaro asked, approaching with his black stallion. His eyes were cold, but surprise flickered in his expression. "I was invited, sir," Elisa replied calmly. Her heart raced, but she maintained her composure. Alvaro looked at the horses and let out a cynical laugh. "With these animals, they'll never win." Elisa lifted her chin with determination. "These animals you dismissed will prove that worth isn't just in appearance." Before Alvaro could respond, an official called for him. Elisa turned her attention to her horses. It was time to show the world the strength they'd gained together. The Grand Valley Derby was intense. Each round presented challenges testing speed, endurance, and skill. Argento, Bronze, and Astro excelled, leaving the audience awestruck by their power and grace. Alvaro, mounted on his black stallion, watched with a mixture of disbelief and irritation. He couldn't believe the horses he'd discarded as worthless were now stealing the show. When the competition reached the final event, a highly technical obstacle course, Astro was the favorite. Elisa held the reins firmly, focused. With precise, elegant leaps, Astro cleared each barrier as the crowd erupted in applause. Astro's time was the best of the competition. Alvaro tried to maintain his composure when Elisa's name was announced as the grand champion. The crowd applauded wildly as Alvaro tried to leave discreetly. But Elisa, receiving the trophy, requested the microphone. "I dedicate this victory to everyone who believes in the potential of those discarded. These horses were rejected, called weak, but with care, dedication, and love they became champions." The audience turned to Alvaro, who stood motionless. A murmur filled the venue. Some pointed at him. A gentleman in the audience commented loudly, "He's the one who discarded them." Alvaro tried to leave but was intercepted by reporters. One asked directly, "Don Alvaro, how do you feel seeing the horses you deemed worthless win the top prize?" He opened his mouth to respond but was interrupted by a chorus of boos. Elisa, from afar, observed him. There was no anger in her eyes, only the conviction that her victory spoke for itself. Humiliated, Alvaro mounted his stallion and galloped away without looking back. Elisa and her horses received champion's honors, proving that true worth isn't determined by appearances or judgments. After Alvaro's departure amidst boos, the competition remained celebratory. Elisa approached Astro, gently stroking his mane. "You did it, my champion. We did it." That night, as the audience dispersed, one of the Grand Derby organizers approached her. "Miss Elisa, your story and dedication touched everyone. Besides the trophy, we'd like to offer a sponsorship to assist in the care and training of your horses. The world needs to know your work." Elisa, surprised, humbly accepted. For the first time, she had the resources to expand her small haven and help more abandoned horses. Days later, while working in her training grounds, an unexpected visitor arrived. Alvaro, without his imposing clothes and usual arrogance, stood beside his black stallion. He seemed older, shoulders slumped, his expression marked by regret. "May I speak with you, Elisa?" he asked, almost a whisper. She hesitated but nodded. "I came to apologize. I was wrong to judge those foals, wrong to underestimate you. Seeing what you've done changed how I view value. You taught me a lesson I'll never forget." Elisa looked at him a moment before replying, "Alvaro, everyone deserves a second chance, just like the foals. Perhaps you too can show you can be different." He looked up, surprised by her generosity. "I'd like to contribute to your work, if you'll allow. My ranch has resources and infrastructure that could help you rescue and train more horses." Elisa considered the offer for a moment. "I accept, but on one condition. that you treat each animal as unique, regardless of appearance or potential. Alvaro nodded, moved. I promise. Thank you for this opportunity, Elisa. In the following months, the collaboration between Elisa and Alvaro transformed her refuge into one of the nation's most respected horse rehabilitation centers. Together they rescued dozens of animals, offering them a new chance at life. Astro, Argento, and Bronze continued to shine in competitions, inspiring a new generation of caregivers and horse lovers. Each victory was a reminder of the power of care, patience, and courage. At the inauguration ceremony of the new refuge, now called Morning Star, Elisa gave an emotional speech. This isn't just my victory or my horses. It's a victory for everyone who believes that with love and dedication, it's possible to transform what many consider impossible. May this place continue to be a symbol of hope. The crowd applauded as Astro, his white star gleaming in the sun, whinnied as if sharing the triumphant moment. That day, as the sun set over the fields, Alvaro, now humbler, observed Elisa beside her horses. For the first time in a long time, he felt pride, not in his possessions but in something far greater, the impact they were making on the world. And so, from a cruel rejection, a story of redemption, courage, and overcoming adversity was born.